One of the elements of the Indiana Jones films is that some of the action takes place in exotic locations that are a pleasure for the audience to glimpse. And they provide dramatic context for the story, and we went to extraordinary places.
One of the exciting things about the Indiana Jones saga is that he travels all over the world. It's a real journey.
It's a new experience for me. It happens to me all the time.
And not only do we go on the journey with him as an audience, but when we were making the movies, we went on a journey as well around the world.
Basically, I did what I always do, is to start by getting the designer in the case of Raiders, Norman Reynolds, and we're analysing and researching where we can find things to represent the various locations that are in the script. We ended up shooting the opening sequence exteriors with the biplane on the island of Kauai in Hawaii. I found a river that could have represented the South American river for the sequence of the biplane in the teaser at the front. So that's where all the locations in Hawaii were found. And then the French location where we started shooting in the port of La Palisse by La Rochelle on the Atlantic coast of France. The reason we went there was for the submarine that we were using in Raiders. This is always a problem. To find this German U-boat, we had a bit of luck. Bavaria Studios in Munich were making a television series stroke feature film called Das Boot, and lying in the port of La Palisse was the submarine that they had built for the job. Perfect for us, absolutely perfect. And that's why France came into the picture. The first question I asked when it said it's in Egypt, I said, do we see the Sphinx, the pyramids, or any of that? I said, no, just the streets. I said, then we don't have to go to Egypt. Tunisia is a much easier place to shoot. Number one, it's a much smaller country. Number two, it's easily accessible from Europe. And we'd been there before on Star Wars, so I knew the country. So we never went to Egypt. We went there, we found the site for the Tanis digs. This was right in the area where we shot Star Wars. And the canyon where Indy is above them and they've got the arc going down, it's the same canyon where R2-D2 is taken by the Jawas in Star Wars. It's exactly the same location. Slightly different angle, but same location. So in a sense, it was there for us. And then we went to shoot Cairo. We went to a town called Kairouan, which actually means Little Cairo, so it was quite apt. And that's where we shot all the stuff in the streets, the chases and all the things, right to the end of the blowing up of the vehicle, which was our last shot before we departed. But apart from that, we did the whole thing at Elstree.
Traitor, you get your hands off of me!
I'd never done a film like that before, and by like that I mean, you know, in a big studio film with these fantastic sets built right in London at Elstree Studios. A lot of the environments that we're in the course of the film were built inside of a big studio like we're sitting in right now.
The Temple of Doom was set in India. I went to India first. Elliot Scott was the designer on this, and I did, again, what I always do, is go on a trip to find out where we're going to shoot the film so that we can schedule it and budget it. I travelled all over India, from way up in the north, a place called Simla, through Bombay, from Delhi, Mysore, Bangalore, all over there. I found basically all the locations. They were fairly well spread, but the one I liked best was the Amber Palace in Jaipur that we were going to use as the Maharaja's palace. I'd planned to go to Sri Lanka anyway and have a look, and so we went to Sri Lanka, found everything in Sri Lanka apart from Maharaja's palace. They don't have them there. It's not part of their heritage. In the end, I rang George and I said, George, look, the only thing we haven't got in Sri Lanka is the Maharaja's palace. How about a nice couple of matte shots and we build the courtyard on the back lot? We're going to shoot the interior of the studio anyway. And he agreed, and then I took it to Stephen, he agreed, and that's what we did.
We came from a small village.
Well, now, the village is actually interesting. It was around a town called Kandy, which is up in the hills. David Lean did major locations for Bridge on the River Kwai in Sri Lanka, and a number of them are based out of Kandy, which is where we were based, in exactly the same place for the duration of our shooting in Sri Lanka on Temple of Doom. And the bridge was across this canyon in Sri Lanka. Apart from that, we did the sets at Elstree. Tank chase, the Messerschmitts, the tunnel, all those things. I wanted to find somewhere that was workable, good infrastructure and the rest of it. And Spain, of course, has it. Almeria in Spain, some moons ago in the days of the spaghetti westerns and everything, was a huge filmmaking centre. I did a western down there right at the end of the 60s. So I knew the area well and I knew it would work and the rest of it. So I went back there and we found all the locations in Almeria for the entire tank chase, all that desert stuff and the rest of it. And we also did the Messerschmitts. This is intolerable! And we did the stuff with the tunnel where the plane crashes in, and the seagulls, which are all white doves because they're trainable. And then we went to Granada. We based in Granada, shot in a place called Guadix, which we used for the railway station where Denham Elliot Brodie comes off.
Does anyone here speak English? Or even ancient Greek?
We began in Granada, came to the studio in England and did all the studio work here, plus some exteriors, you know, the Reichstag in Germany with Hitler, that's a school north of London, things like that. We returned on the Last Crusade to a location we'd been on, Raiders, which is the college where Indy teaches. We'd been there on the first, we didn't go there in the middle of the film. And wrapped up there, and then we flew down to Venice. We shot in Venice. I took a second assistant director out of Rome who was a Venetian born, and I got in the city and I said, show me every square that's got a canal on one side and a church in it, and then tell me which ones I can control in August. And so we went round, we found they've all got a canal on one side and a church, so there's plenty of them. And we managed, we got control of the Grand Canal from like 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. on one day. And so we shot in Venice, and then we flew straight from Venice to Aqaba in Jordan and drove up to Petra. And there we shot the exterior of the Grail Temple, all that stuff, which of course Petra is magnificent. What you see in the movie is only one bit. We didn't show off to the right, there's a huge road and more of this stuff. It's a fabulous place.
After you, Junior.
Follow me! I know the way! Ah!
We completed all the stuff in Jordan. Then we moved to the US and did the opening sequence with River Phoenix playing the young Indy. Harrison stayed with us so that he could coach River in, you know, the mannerisms, which if you look at him, he does, you know, it's real. It looks like Indy, the whole thing. And that we shot in Colorado, New Mexico, and Utah, 3 different states actually, all done 4 corners country. We did all the train first, which was between Colorado and New Mexico. Then we went to Canyon Lands in Utah, where we shot the first scene of the movie. And then the interior of the cave and the interior of the train we did back at Universal Studios. When the Paramount Mountain style dissolved through became established in Raiders, Frank found the mountain at a place called Anahola on Kauai, and it established a kind of format that we used on all the films. The second film, easy, because it was on the front of the gong, therefore we could design it to any shape we liked. In the third movie, where we opened in a location called Canyon Lands in Utah, there was more selection there, to be honest, than there was in Kauai, and it was reasonably easy to find one that we could come off and pan down and see the Boy Scout troop on horseback going along.
We went to several different countries on the first, second, third movie, and now on the 4th movie. We're outside of Santa Fe, New Mexico.
New Haven, Connecticut.
Hilo, Hawaii. Paramount Pictures. So there's a lot of traveling involved, both for Indy and for us on the crew.
And cut.